as costing more than her monthly rent, turned with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "No, I didn't forget," Lily said brightly. "I was very careful about my list." The room fell silent except for the Bing Crosby Christmas album playing in the background. Ava felt every eye turned toward her, waiting for the explanation that would make this make sense. Their 12-year-old cousin Mason, bless his complete lack of social awareness, asked the question everyone was thinking. Why didn't Aunt Ava get a present? Lily's smile widened. "Because I don't want a poor cop ruining my wedding photos." The words hung in the air like toxic smoke. Ava watched her father's face flush red, her mother's hand fly to her mouth, her aunts and uncles exchange horrified glances. And Ava, who'd spent 5 years as a patrol officer and 2 years as a detective learning to control her reactions in crisis situations, simply said, "I understand." 2 words. Calm. Final. Completely derailing whatever dramatic scene Lily had been expecting. Lily blinked, clearly thrown. "You understand?" "I understand that you're doing what you think is best for your relationship," Ava replied evenly. "I hope you have a beautiful wedding." The rest of Christmas Eve proceeded in stilted conversation, extended family members clearly uncomfortable but unsure how to address the elephant, or rather, the missing gift, in the room. Later, while helping her mother clean up, Margaret cornered Ava in the kitchen. "That wasn't my daughter talking tonight," Margaret said, tears threatening to spill. That was someone else's words coming out of her mouth. "I know, Mom. Should we do something? Stage an intervention?" Ava paused in drying a dish, choosing her words carefully. When someone's in an emotionally abusive relationship, forcing them to choose between their abuser and their family usually backfires. They choose the abuser, and then they're more isolated than before. "So we just let this happen? We let her know we love her, and we'll be here when she needs us." Ava met her mother's eyes. "And we hope that's enough." What Ava didn't say, "I'm planning to work the day of her wedding. Something tells me I'm going to be busy." To understand how Ava ended up exiled from her sister's wedding, you have to go back to the beginning. Back to the night Lily brought Trevor Kane home for Christmas Eve dinner. Ava had taken one look at him and felt every cop instinct she'd developed over 7 years on the force start screaming. Trevor was handsome in that expensive, calculated way, perfectly styled hair, designer clothes that whispered rather than shouted wealth, and a smile he'd clearly practiced in the mirror. At 34, he was a wealth management consultant for high net worth clients, which translated to, he helped rich people hide money from taxes. "Detective Chen," he'd said, extending his hand with just the right amount of pressure. "Lily's told me so much about you. It must be fascinating work." The way he said, "fascinating," suggested he found it about as interesting as watching paint dry. "It has its moments," Ava replied, studying him with the same attention she gave suspects in interrogation rooms. Throughout dinner, Trevor performed brilliantly. He complimented Margaret's cooking, asked their father Thomas about his hardware store, and seemed genuinely interested in family traditions. But Ava noticed things others missed. How his hand on Lily's lower back was possessive rather than affectionate, how he answered questions for her before she could speak, how his smile never quite reached his eyes. When Lily excused herself to help with dessert, Trevor turned his attention to Ava. "So, Detective Chen," he said with that practiced smile, "Lily mentioned you recently made detective. Congratulations. Though I imagine the pay isn't particularly impressive compared to private sector work." There it was, the first subtle dig disguised as conversation. "The pay's adequate," Ava replied neutrally. "Someone has to arrest the people your clients probably employ." Trevor's smile tightened fractionally. "How cynical. I suppose your line of work makes you suspicious of everyone." "Not suspicious. Observant. There's a difference? Usually about 3 years in prison." The conversation was interrupted by Lily's return with pie, but the gauntlet had been thrown. Trevor Kane had assessed Ava as a threat to his plans, and Ava had confirmed that yes, she absolutely was. Over the following weeks, Ava watched her sister begin to disappear. First, Lily started missing their monthly sister brunches, claiming Trevor had planned surprise romantic gestures that always seemed to coincide with their standing dates. Then Lily quit her marketing job, the one she'd loved, the one she'd worked 3 years to land. "Trevor thinks I'll be happier focusing on our relationship," Lily explained when Ava questioned the decision. "He makes more than enough for both of us. He wants me to feel secure." "But you loved that job," Ava protested. "That was before I understood what really matters," Lily replied with a distant smile that didn't look like her at all. The engagement happened 4 months after they met. Trevor proposed at an exclusive restaurant with a ring that probably cost more than Ava's annual salary. Suddenly, Lily was completely absorbed in wedding planning and pleasing her fiancé. Ava tried one more time to reach her sister. They met at a coffee shop near Lily's apartment, Trevor's apartment now, technically, since Lily had moved in after the engagement. I need you to hear me, Ava said carefully. I've seen this pattern before in my work. The isolation from friends and family, the financial dependence, the way he controls decisions, these are warning signs. Lily's face hardened. Here we go. Detective Chen is going to psychoanalyze my relationship based on her experience with criminals. I'm not saying Trevor is a criminal. You're saying he's controlling, Lily interrupted. That he's isolating me, but you know what? Maybe he's just protective. Maybe he actually cares about my feelings and wants to build a future together. She leaned forward, voice sharp. Something you'd understand if you ever prioritized someone else over your career. The accusation stung, but Ava pushed through it. Lily, I'm worried about you. You've changed. You don't smile the same way, you second-guess yourself constantly, you've given up things that made you happy. I've grown up, Lily snapped. I've learned that successful relationships require compromise. Something you might figure out someday if you stop being so suspicious of everyone who doesn't wear a uniform. Ava left that coffee shop knowing she'd lost the first battle. Trevor had already rewritten her sister's reality, casting Ava as the jealous older sibling who couldn't handle Lily's success. The engagement party 3 weeks later confirmed everything Ava feared. The event was held at Trevor's country club, the kind of place where Ava felt underdressed despite wearing her best outfit. She watched Trevor work the room like a politician, introducing Lily as my beautiful fiancé, while keeping a possessive hand on her constantly. Classic controlling behavior, Ava noted grimly. The moment that crystallized everything came when Lily started telling a story about their college days. Halfway through, Trevor interrupted with a forced laugh. Sweetheart, I don't think our guests want to hear about your wild college days, he said in what sounded like affectionate teasing. Let's tell them about our honeymoon plans instead. Lily's face fell for just a second before she plastered on a bright smile and shifted to discussing their trip to Santorini. But Ava caught that moment of hurt, that flash of the real Lily still buried beneath Trevor's manipulation. After the party, Ava cornered Trevor in the parking lot while Lily said goodbye to friends inside. We need to talk, Ava said, keeping her voice level. Trevor's polished facade slipped slightly. About what, detective? About how you treat my sister. The interrupting, the controlling behavior, the way you're isolating her from everyone who actually cares about her. Trevor studied her for a long moment, then smiled in a way that made Ava's skin crawl. You know what your problem is, Detective Chen? You're jealous. Lily found happiness and success, and you can't stand it because your own life is going nowhere. Classic deflection and personal attack. Ava didn't take the bait. My life is fine. I'm concerned about my sister's well-being. Are you? Trevor stepped closer, using his height advantage to try to intimidate her. Because from where I stand, you're a bitter older sister who can't handle being overshadowed by someone younger and more successful. Ava held her ground, drawing on years of police training. Success isn't about money, Trevor. It's about respecting the people you claim to love. Respect? Trevor laughed coldly. Like the respect you showed by trying to poison Lily against me from day one? She told me about your little theories. Of course he knew. He'd been working to turn Lily against her from the beginning. If you keep spreading these ridiculous accusations, Trevor continued, voice dropping to a whisper, you're going to destroy your relationship with Lily permanently. Is that what you want? Before Ava could respond, Lily appeared beside them, slightly breathless from hurrying across the parking lot. What's going on? She asked, glancing between them suspiciously. You two look serious. Trevor's transformation was instant. The threatening expression vanished, replaced by his charming smile. Just getting to know each other better. You know how it is when family wants to make sure you're being taken care of. That night, driving home to her modest apartment, Ava made a decision that would haunt her. She decided to step back. To stop pushing. To hope that Trevor would show his true colors before it was too late. It was a mistake. Sometimes the only way to save someone is to keep fighting, even when they hate you for it. The wedding planning became an exercise in watching Lily disappear entirely into Trevor's vision of their perfect life. Every decision went through him first. The venue, the flowers, the guest list, even Lily's dress required his approval. Trevor has such sophisticated taste, Margaret gushed during one family dinner, somehow missing the sadness in Lily's eyes. He's really elevating her standards. Elevating her standards, Ava thought bitterly. Is that what we're calling erasing someone's personality now? 3 months before the wedding, Ava got a call that gave her momentary hope. Ava? Lily's voice was shaky, barely above a whisper. Can you come over? I need to talk. Ava found her sister in Trevor's apartment looking smaller and more fragile than she'd seen her since childhood. Her eyes were red-rimmed, and she clutched a tissue like a lifeline. What happened? Trevor and I had a fight, Lily admitted, voice breaking. He says I'm being too emotional about the wedding planning. That I need to trust him to handle the important decisions. Too emotional about her own wedding, Ava noted grimly. What kind of decisions? Everything, apparently, Lily said with a bitter laugh. The music, the decorations, even the guest list. He says I get too caught up in sentimental details that don't matter for the sophisticated image we need to project. Lily, it's your wedding. Your feelings aren't selfish, they're the whole point. For a moment, Ava saw a flicker of her real sister. But then it was gone, replaced by the anxious woman Trevor had created. You don't understand, Lily said, pulling away. Trevor has a reputation to maintain. These events are important for his career. I need to support him. Since when are your feelings something to be ashamed of? Since I grew up and realized that successful relationships require compromise. Lily snapped, clearly parroting Trevor's words. Something you might understand if you ever prioritized someone else's needs. The conversation continued in circles, with Lily performing elaborate mental gymnastics to justify Trevor's behavior. By the time Ava left, she understood. Lily had invested too much to admit she'd made a mistake. 2 weeks later, wedding invitations went out. Ava's never arrived. Surely there's been a mistake, she told herself. She's my sister. Of course I'll be invited. Christmas Eve arrived with no invitation. That's when Lily made her announcement in front of the entire family, deliberately excluding Ava from the gift-giving with that devastating line about the poor cop ruining wedding photos. What Lily didn't know, what Trevor definitely didn't know, was that Ava had volunteered to work the day shift on the wedding date. If she couldn't be there as family, at least she could do something meaningful with the day. Besides, her instincts told her she might be needed anyway. June 15th arrived with perfect weather, sunny skies, gentle breeze, the kind of day that made you believe in fairy tale endings. Ava spent it responding to fender benders and noise complaints, keeping her mind occupied so she wouldn't think about Lily walking down the aisle at the Riverside Country Club. At 2:47 p.m., her radio crackled to life. Unit 347, we need you to respond to a domestic disturbance at the Riverside Country Club. Multiple callers reporting large altercation in progress. Ava's blood turned to ice. Unit 347 responding, she said, flipping on lights and sirens. Before she could process the implications, her personal phone rang. Mom's name on the caller ID. Ava. Margaret's voice was high with panic. You need to get here right now. Mom, I'm already on my way. What happened? It's the wedding. Trevor hit Lily in front of everyone. There's a huge fight and people are screaming and we don't know what to do. Is Lily hurt? I think so. She locked herself in the bridal suite and won't come out. Trevor's family is defending him and our family is going crazy and there are 300 people here in. Mom, stay away from Trevor and his family until I get there, Ava commanded, professional training taking over. Don't engage with anyone who's defending him. Okay, but hurry. Your father looks like he's about to kill someone. The drive took 6 minutes that felt like 6 hours. As Ava pulled into the country club parking lot, she could see the chaos even from outside. Well-dressed wedding guests scattered across the lawn, some crying, others arguing, several filming with their phones. Great. My sister's assault is about to go viral. Ava radioed for backup and an ambulance, then grabbed her equipment and headed inside. The main ballroom looked like a tornado had hit an elegant wedding reception. Tables overturned, flowers scattered everywhere, at least 50 people engaged in heated arguments. In the center stood Trevor Kane, his tuxedo disheveled, face red with rage, surrounded by groomsmen trying to calm him down. There's the real Trevor, Ava thought grimly. No more charming mask. Where's the bride? Ava called out in her command voice. Upstairs, bridal suite, someone answered. She won't let anyone in. Ava made her way through the crowd, automatically cataloging details. Trevor's right hand showed signs of impact, swollen knuckles, slight abrasion. Several guests appeared intoxicated, broken glass near the head table. Upstairs, she found a cluster of women outside a locked door, her mother, her aunt, and 2 women she didn't recognize. She's been in there for 20 minutes, Margaret said when she saw Ava. She won't talk to anyone. Ava knocked gently. Lily, it's Ava. I need you to open the door. Silence. Lily, I'm here as a police officer right now. I need to make sure you're safe and document what happened. Can you let me in? After a long moment, the lock turned. The door opened just enough for Ava to slip inside, then immediately closed again. Her sister stood in the middle of the elegant bridal suite, still in her beautiful wedding dress, makeup ruined by tears. On the left side of her face was a vivid red handprint already beginning to swell. "Oh, honey," Ava whispered, professional detachment warring with the desire to pull Lily into her arms. "You were right," Lily said quietly, not meeting her eyes. "You were right about everything, and I was too stupid to listen." "You weren't stupid. You were being manipulated by someone who's very good at it." Ava kept her voice gentle. "And now he's shown 300 people exactly who he really is." Lily finally looked up. "He hit me because I was dancing with Tommy. Cousin Tommy. Trevor said I was flirting, that I was embarrassing him in front of his business associates." "Of course. Can't have the wife showing any independence." "Tell me everything," Ava said, pulling out her notebook. "From the beginning." For the next 15 minutes, Lily described months of escalating control and verbal abuse, culminating in the public assault. As she spoke, Ava documented every detail with professional precision, even as her heart broke for the sister she tried so hard to save. When they finished, Ava radioed downstairs to confirm Trevor had been detained. "What happens now?" Lily asked. "Now you get medical attention, we photograph your injuries, and you decide whether you want to press charges. Everyone will know I married an abuser." "Everyone already knows Trevor hit you at your wedding," Ava pointed out gently. "The only question is whether you're going to let him get away with it." Lily stared out the window at the parking lot where wedding guests were slowly dispersing, their fancy outfits a stark contrast to the police cars and ambulance. "I want to press charges," she said finally. "And I want to go home with you." 20 minutes later, Ava walked her sister out of the country club. Lily was still in her wedding dress, but the veil was gone and her bouquet lay forgotten in the chaos. As they drove away, Lily reached over and squeezed Ava's hand. "Thank you for coming when I needed you." "Always," Ava replied. "That's what family does, even when that family doesn't invite you to the wedding." Behind them, the country club grew smaller in the rearview mirror. But the real story was just beginning. The fallout from Lily's wedding disaster was immediate and spectacular. Someone's cell phone video of the assault hit social media within hours. By the next morning, it had been shared thousands of times, complete with Trevor's name and employer. Trevor's mugshot appeared in the Denver Post 2 days later. Groom arrested for wedding day assault. Lily moved back home with their parents temporarily, something that would have mortified her weeks earlier but now felt necessary. "I can't believe how many people saw that video," Lily said one evening as they sat on their parents' back porch sharing wine. "My worst moment is entertainment for strangers." "Your worst moment is also evidence," Ava pointed out. "Now everyone who defended Trevor at the wedding gets to watch themselves supporting an abuser on repeat." 3 weeks after the wedding, Trevor's lawyer approached the DA with a plea deal: 6 months in county jail, anger management classes, and restitution for Lily's medical expenses. 6 months? Their father Thomas exploded. "He destroyed our daughter's wedding and traumatized our entire family. It's actually a reasonable deal," Ava explained, though she shared his frustration. First-time domestic violence convictions rarely get more than that. Plus, Trevor's about to learn that county jail isn't welcoming to men who hit women. Lily decided to accept the plea deal, but not before making a victim impact statement that became the turning point in her healing. "Your Honor," Lily began, her voice steady despite nervousness, "when Trevor Kane hit me at our wedding, he didn't just assault me physically. He destroyed what should have been the happiest day of my life and shattered my ability to trust my own judgment." Trevor sat at the defense table looking appropriately remorseful for the cameras, but Ava caught him glancing at Lily with that same possessive expression she'd noticed from day one. "But Trevor's assault wasn't the end of my story," Lily continued, voice growing stronger. "It was the beginning of my freedom. For months, he controlled what I thought, how I acted, who I spent time with. He convinced me that my family's concerns came from jealousy instead of love." Ava felt tears prickling her eyes. "When Trevor hit me, he revealed his true nature to everyone watching. He gave me irrefutable proof that my sister was right about him all along." After the hearing, Trevor was led away in handcuffs to begin his sentence. His family left without speaking, faces tight with embarrassment. Outside the courthouse, reporters asked Lily about her plans. "Trust your instincts," Lily told one reporter who asked for advice. "And trust the people who love you when they express concerns. Real love doesn't isolate you from your support system." That evening, they had the first family dinner in months that felt genuinely celebratory. "I want to go back to work," Lily announced. "My old boss said there might be an opening." I also want to volunteer with domestic violence organizations, she continued. Help other women recognize the warning signs I missed. Later, Lily pulled Ava aside. I need to tell you something about Trevor. Before the wedding, he made threats about what would happen if I tried to leave him. What kind of threats? He said he could make trouble for your career. File false complaints, claim police harassment. He said he had connections who could make it stick. Ava's jaw tightened. Why didn't you tell me before? Because I was terrified. Even after he hit me, I was still scared of what he might do to hurt you. If he tries anything, I'll be ready, Ava assured her. 3 weeks after Trevor's release from jail, Ava's sergeant called her into his office with a grim expression. Close the door, Chen. We need to talk. Here we go. I've received multiple formal complaints against you, Sergeant Rodriguez said, spreading documents across his desk. Excessive force, harassment, abuse of authority. All filed within the past week. What kind of complaints? According to these witnesses, you've been targeting Trevor Kane and his associates. Conducting unauthorized surveillance, making threatening phone calls. Rodriguez opened the folder wider. There's even alleged security footage. Sarge, you know this is garbage. I haven't had any contact with Trevor or his people since the court hearing. I believe you, but Internal Affairs has to investigate. You're suspended with pay pending the outcome. The complaints were detailed and coordinated. Trevor had spent his jail time planning this carefully. But Trevor made one crucial mistake. He underestimated how much digital evidence exists in the modern world. Over the next 2 weeks, Ava worked harder than she'd ever worked on any case. Phone records, GPS data from her patrol car, security footage from businesses, anything that could establish her whereabouts during Trevor's alleged incidents. The breakthrough came from Trevor's own arrogance. His business partner, the one claiming Ava had stalked him, had been arrested for DUI on the same night he alleged she was following him home. One by one, Trevor's carefully constructed lies fell apart under scrutiny. His biggest mistake was getting too specific. He claimed Ava had called his mother on a Tuesday at 3 p.m., making threats. Unfortunately for Trevor, court transcripts proved Ava was testifying in a different case at that exact time. 3 weeks after her suspension, Ava was reinstated with full back pay and a formal apology. Trevor, meanwhile, was arrested again, this time for filing false police reports and obstruction of justice. The irony wasn't lost on Ava that she got to arrest him again. Trevor Kane, she said, placing handcuffs on his wrists outside his office building, you're under arrest for filing false police reports. The look of rage and humiliation on his face was almost worth the weeks of stress. You think you've won? He snarled. This isn't over. Actually, it is over, Ava replied calmly. You tried to destroy my career with lies, and all you did was add more felonies to your record. Trevor's second trial was swift. The judge sentenced him to 18 months in state prison. After the sentencing, reporters asked Ava about having her name cleared. It feels good to be vindicated, she said. But more importantly, this case sends a message that using false police reports to settle personal grudges won't be tolerated. That evening, her family gathered for their new tradition, Tuesday dinners where they actually enjoyed each other's company. I'm proud of you, Thomas said as they shared takeout. You could have backed down, but you fought for what was right. Fighting for what's right is literally my job description, Dad. Lily raised her wine glass. To Ava, who saved me from the biggest mistake of my life, then saved herself from Trevor's revenge. To family, Ava countered, who stick together even when manipulative abusers try to divide us. 6 months after Trevor's second conviction, life had settled into something infinitely better than Ava could have imagined. Lily had been promoted to senior campaign manager at her advertising agency, utilizing the creativity and independence Trevor had spent months trying to suppress. She'd also become a passionate advocate for domestic violence awareness, speaking at shelters and police training seminars. Ava's own career had not only recovered but strengthened. The department used her case as a training example, and she'd been promoted to lead a domestic violence task force. You know what's ironic? Lily said one evening over dinner. Trevor thought filing false police reports would ruin your reputation. But it actually proved you're exactly the kind of cop people can trust. Their conversation was interrupted by Ava's phone buzzing with a news alert. Local man dies in prison after domestic violence convictions. Trevor Kane was dead. According to the report, he'd been found in his cell that morning, victim of a heart attack. He was 35 years old. What is it? Lily asked, noticing Ava's expression. Ava turned her phone so Lily could see the headline. Lily read it twice, then set it down calmly. How'd I feel? She asked herself aloud. Free. For the first time since I met him, I feel completely, utterly free. Should you feel guilty for being relieved? Perfectly normal reaction, Ava assured her. Abusers don't earn grief just by dying. The most surprising response came from Trevor's mother, who called Lily directly 2 days after the funeral. I need to apologize, Mrs. Kane said, voice heavy with emotion. I spent so much time defending Trevor that I never acknowledged what he did to you. You're not responsible for Trevor's choices, Lily said gently. But I enabled him. Every time he got in trouble, I made excuses. I taught him he could hurt people without consequences. After the call ended, Lily sat quietly processing. Do you think she's right? She asked Ava. That his mother's enabling made him worse? Trevor was responsible for Trevor's choices, Ava replied. But yes, people who consistently excuse bad behavior make it easier for that behavior to escalate. That weekend, they drove up to the mountains for a hiking trip, something they'd done as kids but hadn't managed in years. I've been thinking about dating again, Lily said as they stopped at a scenic overlook. How do you feel about that? Terrified and excited. The scary part is trusting my judgment again. Now you know what warning signs look like, Ava said. And you have people who will speak up if they see red flags. Promise me something. Anything. Promise that if you ever have concerns about someone I'm dating, you'll tell me immediately. Even if I get defensive, even if it causes a fight. I promise. But you have to promise to trust yourself. Your gut instincts are usually right. 1 year after the wedding disaster, Lily called Ava with news that made her heart skip with both joy and protective concern. I'm dating someone. Here we go. Tell me about him. His name is Marcus Kim, and before you start profiling him, he's a pediatric nurse. We met at a domestic violence awareness seminar where I was speaking. When do I get to vet him? Lily laughed. Tomorrow night. Family dinner. Fair warning. He's nervous about meeting the cop's sister. The next evening, Ava arrived prepared to conduct the most thorough informal interrogation of her life. Marcus was average height with kind eyes and an easy smile that seemed genuine. He'd brought flowers for Margaret, wine for Thomas, and homemade cookies. During dinner, Ava watched their interactions with detective intensity. Marcus's attention to Lily was protective without being possessive, attentive without being controlling. Most tellingly, when Lily mentioned her advocacy work, Marcus's face lit up with genuine pride. She's incredible at it, Marcus told them. Last month she helped a woman leave her abuser after months of failed professional interventions. After dinner, Ava cornered Marcus in the kitchen. What are your intentions with my sister? Marcus smiled at her directness. I intend to love her, support her dreams, and never make her choose between me and the people who matter to her. Do you understand what she's been through? I do, Marcus said seriously. I grew up in a house with domestic violence. My father abused my mother for years before she found the courage to leave. I know how long it takes to rebuild trust. They talked for 20 minutes, and by the end, Ava was cautiously optimistic. 6 months later, Marcus called to ask permission before proposing. I love your daughter, he told Ava's parents over Sunday dinner, and I want to spend my life making her happy. But I know how important family is to her, so I wanted your blessing first. Thomas actually teared up. Son, you've already proven yourself. The answer is yes. The proposal itself was perfect in its simplicity. Marcus took Lily to the coffee shop where they'd had their first date and proposed with a ring he'd designed himself. He told me he loved me exactly as I am, Lily said when she called afterward. That he didn't want to change anything about me. When's the wedding? Next spring. Small ceremony, just family and close friends. And Ava? I want you to be my maid of honor. Marcus suggested it, Lily continued. He said the person who saved my life should stand next to me when I start my new one. The wedding planning was everything the first one hadn't been. Lily made every decision herself, consulting Marcus for input but never deferring to his preferences over her own. With Trevor, I was in love with the fantasy, Lily explained during dress shopping. With Marcus, I'm in love with who he actually is. The night before the wedding, Lily asked Ava to walk with her in the hotel garden. I need to thank you, she said, for never giving up on me. Even when I was awful to you, you never stopped fighting for me. Fighting for family is what we do. Trevor's family enabled his abuse, Lily continued. But our family fought to save me from it. That makes all the difference. The second wedding was everything the first should have been, a celebration of love rather than a performance. Lily walked down the aisle in a simple but elegant dress, face glowing with genuine happiness. Marcus waited at the altar with tears in his eyes. When the minister asked if anyone objected, there was only joyful silence. In their self-written vows, Marcus and Lily essentially repudiated everything Trevor had represented. Lily, Marcus said, you taught me that love isn't about possession or control. It's about supporting each other's dreams. You've made me a better man, and I promise to ensure you never doubt your worth again. Marcus, Lily replied, you showed me I deserve to be loved for exactly who I am. You've never asked me to be smaller or different. You celebrate my strength instead of trying to diminish it. During her maid of honor speech, Ava said, 2 years ago, I watched my sister marry someone I knew would hurt her. Tonight, I'm watching her marry someone who makes her stronger, happier, and more herself than I've ever seen her.